welcome to the Ghana National Fire Service TV. It's a very exciting program today here on Fire Service in Focus. We have a very packed program, and it promises to be very exciting. Please stay glued to your TV. We'll be back very shortly, and we'll unveil the surprise we have for you. Stay tuned.
How far was your internship?
You told me about starting this new role on Monday.
Oh, please. I know you should be worried about what benefits they have. Example, did they have...
I doubt they will have that for anything. But no shaking.
Acting as an alliance,
Ina! What are you going to do in your office when you can just download the app to get membership?
Yes, my people, you heard right. You can now download membership on my NHIS app. No long queues or tedious paperwork. It's your Ghana card to register for yourself and for others. Once you register, you get an NHIS card on your phone. My NHIS app gives you access to credentialed health facilities and services across the country. NHIS covers over 95% of disease conditions in Ghana. Access to healthcare just got easier.
Now let me sign up quickly. Please, Steph, I'm starting work next month.
Hi, so welcome back to the show. It's Fire Service in Focus. My name is ADO1 Alex Kingnati, and we start the program today on a very, I would say, a very unfortunate or a sad note, where we lost our director legal, DCFO Bafo Iwa, which is a very unfortunate news for us. The management, led by Madam Mausi, went to pay a visit to the family of the late deputy. The man was a man who distinguished himself as the director of legal for the Ghana National Fire Service. He did his very best to help maintain and keep the good name of the Ghana National Fire Service. And I'll be discussing with my guests some of the memories or the good things they had to say about such a notable good man who's been an epitome of excellence here at the Ghana National Fire Service. Let me quickly introduce my guests, and then I'll get them to say a few things about this man. So right beside me is my own madam, the regional commander of the Greater Accra region, ACF1 Roberta Ganson Agri. Madam, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And to my far right is my own boss, ACF1 Timothy Osafuifum, the Director of Public Relations here at the Ghana National Fire Service. Sir, you're welcome, sir.
My pleasure.
I think they say ladies first, so madam, please, what do you have to say about our Director Legal? I'm sure you might have encountered him once or twice in your, in your daily or in your professional career. What do you have to say about him, please?
Funny enough, he was my mate at the academy. Myself and Director PR, we were mates. We happened to meet on the 10th of August. That was 2001, where we had to report at the Fire Academy and Training School. We were together for 6 months. Then, just like any other service, after training, we are posted to various regions and various departments. And fortunately for me, I came back to the headquarters. That was in 2021, because after a long years, we had not met. But coming back to the headquarters, we met, and we even had to sit on one of the committees. And I would say I learned a lot from him, especially on legal issues. I think on the whole, I would say he was a gentleman.
Well, saying this brings back, the memory of him always smiling, always very humble, and it's refreshing to have seen a smile. Sir, you were here with him at the headquarters. What do you have to say about him, sir?
Thank you very much. It's difficult speaking like this at this particular point in time. One would have wished that at his prime he wouldn't have left the world at this point in time. But as fate may be, he's gone. What can we say? My condolences to the entire management of the service, to his family, especially the spouse, and to all intake mates for this great loss. Bafo, as I used to call him, was a disciplinarian. He will always insist on what is right to be done, and that is the man that I knew. And so these are the few words I can say about him.
Well, I want to again say that on behalf of the management, staff, civilian employees, and everyone, we send our heartfelt condolence to the family of our late DCFO, and I'm sure the service will always do well to stand by them in this difficult moment. So once again, rest in peace to DCFO Bafo Uwa for such an exemplary leadership here at the Ghana National Fire Service. We would also want to quickly move to the Upper East region, where just to rub out the sadness, there was a pulling out for the regional commander, ACFO 2 Eugene Asajeche, for 35 glorious years in the service. He was the regional commander, and he did very well by leading by example and steering his region to a place it's supposed to be. So we would say Ayiko to ACFO, and we are hoping that in his future endeavors he would keep the Ghana National Fire Service in mind. So today, since I've already unveiled my two very important guests, today we'll be discussing some fires that happened within the week last week, particularly the fire at Jamestown and the fire at Madina Market. It's been a very worrying trend, and we realized that with these fires, our men recorded quite some successes and challenges. Most of these fires, I met my madam ACFO, Madam Gansa, there, where we all deliberated, and she took leadership stands in making sure that the fire was extinguished without any casualty. So we want to talk about the Jamestown fire. Madam, I'm sure since that was the first time you had seen a fire at Jamestown, what was so different about that fire in relation to other fires you'd gone to?
I saw the fire from a station lookout point. I was not in my office. My radio was in my office. Then all of a sudden I could find a thick smoke which was emanating around the training school, fire academy and training school area. So immediately, seeing that dark smoke, I immediately sensed something of petroleum. Then I moved forward to the control room to inquire what was happening. Getting there, I heard so much communication, so I had to join the car of my operations officer to the scene. And getting there, seeing wooden structures by the sea, with the breeze from the sea, it was actually supporting burning. And looking at the type of wood involved, which are not fire resistant wood, not fire resistant because there were a lot of wire, there were a lot of plywoods, and with that of the plywood, once the glue bonding, the veneers gets ignited, they also quickly support burning because they are also petroleum products as well. And once we get the veneer leaving one another, it is just like paper burning. So the burning was very, very fast. But since that was my route to work, or from work, anytime I get there, I see it, and you realize it is not friendly, but people enjoy to live there. It is not friendly because looking at the intervals between structures, it actually tells you that it is likely to give chain of fire should it occur. But once they have been given that place to build structures to live, you just pray nothing happens. But it was unfortunate we had that. So no wonder we saw the fast spreading of that structure. But I would have hoped that even if they are reconstructing the structure, if they can agree among themselves to leave space to check quick spread, I think it would help us all. And also, if they can consider in using fire resistance wood, which are a little harder, then we are assured that should it even happen in the future, we will not see what we saw last week. That is the little I can say for now.
Sir, please, do you have is anything to top up with it? Looking at the fact that, you know, just opposite the training school, obviously you've been to the training school before.
Yes, what I can say is that it's as if we've thrown planning to the dogs. You see, we have moved these people from the fishing harbour to a new settlement area. We should ensure that whatever structures are put in place are done the right way. We shouldn't leave them to their fate. If you leave them to their fate, then what we saw will continue to happen. It is for their good that we say we are constructing a harbour for them. Therefore, they should move into a temporary location. But in moving them to that temporary location, what are the parameters that we give? You don't give them the free will to do whatever they want. And mind you, this is just opposite our training school. It's a security threat to the training school. But being as it may, it has already been assigned to them. But let's ensure that the right things are done. Proper planning, like regional commander is saying, you create proper lanes in between the structures and proper spacing, so that even if one structure is caught up in fire, the spread may take some time before it spreads from one structure to the other. But if they are all together as one apartment, then definitely when there is any slight fire, the spread will be too difficult to control, as we experienced.
So you see, one other thing that that I'm thinking about is that, you know, that area is known for the preparation of willy or this meeting. On that day, the people are not even done their willy. Those who sell the willy were not there. So in the situation, in the instance where they were there, how would you have looked at the situation? How big would it have been different from what we saw? Because even on that day, they were not there, yet see the kind of fire we recorded. Madam, how different would it have looked?
I don't actually know where to start from and where to end, but I would have to speak. So I would speak. These are fishermen. What I realize was that, especially observing the dark, thick smoke, immediately I realized that there was some storage of petroleum products in there. It is difficult to trace it now because we don't even have the sniffer dogs to determine that for us now. But at least the smoke communicates by itself. So I am sure that there were a lot of the petroleum products that were in there. And I just thank my men being able to cut the fire at some point to check spread. So luckily for us, we did not get to the Wele area, but it was mainly within the fisher folks. People losing their nets, which also supports burning because it's nylon, coupled with these numbers of maybe petroleum products. It's only God who can tell the number of drums that they had in there. But on a more serious note, what I would say is that they must be mindful about their lives. It is life before anything else. So if that is where you are using as your sleeping accommodation, then you ask yourself, should this thing happen even in the night, where lies your faith, especially where you are so tired? By the time you realize you are overtaken by this fire. So I'll plead with our fisher folks, not only in Jamestown but everywhere in Ghana. Let us be mindful about our life. Let us love ourselves, because when you love yourselves, there are things you will not do to harm or hurt yourself. If you have children in there and they are asleep, how can you be carrying all of them? So to our fisher folks, let us stop storing these petroleum products in the rooms that we sleep. And apart from that, the structures are wood. They are not fire resistant wood. And you see them cooking in between these structures. Already the naked fire is even available. Other combustibles are made available. There is the presence of oxygen, and coupled with the breeze from the sea, that would support burning seriously, because the volume of oxygen would equally determine the speed at which the fire would spread and the angle the fire would spread to. So I would plead with our fisher folks. It is Jamestown. We thank God no life was lost. Let us take a clue from this. If we presume we do not know, now we are telling you it is not safe for you. It is risky for your life. If you are even putting up these wooden structures, let us go in for the hardwood, because that would determine the slow rate at which fires would burn. Let us consider the items we have in there, because it's these items that will determine the fire load or the occupancy load in the structure, and it will also determine the size of the fire and how fast fires could spread. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. Sir, looking at the fact that there was the presence of a lot of explosive materials, because we saw, personally I was there, I saw a lot of gas cylinders in there, and then as Madam rightfully said, there were a lot of flammable liquids, the petroleum products. So what's the way forward to adapt to what Madam said? You know, as they use the place for both residential and domestic purposes, what do you think is the way forward?
So the way forward now is Once the place is burnt, they will begin to do reconstruction. So in doing the reconstruction, let the authorities ensure that proper demarcations are made. Once proper demarcations are made, let us also ensure that on our part, we can go in again to re-educate them not to store this fuel in their homes. Because one, you use the place as your home and for every other thing. And so if you store flammable liquids in your home, once you keep on using fire, and the fire they cook every day, and once you cook, the possibility or the probability of a fire starting is very high. Already this fuel that they use for fishing, the premix is what they keep there. It is volatile and it is highly flammable. And so if you don't even cover it well and volatility takes place, the vapor can only start when you have a naked fire around. And so what is important is that we on our part also go back to the community, re-educate them not to buy or hoard this premix fuel in their rooms. Because if you do that and something like what happened, then it only aggravates the intensity of the fire. For us, we'll be there to support, but at what cost? You may have lost everything that you have acquired since your lifetime. And so it is important that one is planning, two is the education, and three is the appropriate use of whatever material that they are supposed to use to put up the structures, so that if there should be even any fire at all, because we are using materials that are a bit resistant to fire, the spread will not be too much as we experienced the last time.
Thank you very much, sir. So let me remind you that you can join the conversation. It's a very interesting conversation that bothers on everyone to stay safe and to help be each other's keeper. You can join the conversation. Our numbers are on the screen: 0509 608 744, 0509 608 744. You can join us on our social media handles: Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And so if your TV goes off, you can still go on your phone and join us. So madam, looking at the fact that our officers are very active, very vibrant, they don't renege on their commitment to their safety education. I'm sure as officers have been to these areas to have education talks with them. Have you spoken to them, or have they told you how the reception has been for them when they go to areas like that to have education with the people?
Well, they have always been cordial, because at some point in time, what we do is for the safety department to come together to do debrief, and per debrief you realize they get the best of reception at the place. But these are fisher folks. Some go on sea, some prepare their fish to sell. So it is difficult for you to get everybody present. But I think one of the things I would want to emphasize on is you hearing and adapting to what you have been told. But I think a lot of us, even the Bible says, as you listen, you must be a doer of the word. But if you listen and you are not a doer of the word, then virtually we are bound to see what we saw. We are pleading to the public, appealing to them. We all have our profession, and I would plead that whatever we come out there to do, we expect you to practice them in your homes. It is the practicing that will make you part of it. And once you practice and it helps you, virtually you are likely to be an ambassador of the message of safety. So if I come to educate,
Madam,
and it is not being...
I've been told you have a caller on the line, so sorry about that. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Okay, I think maybe we lost the person. So sorry about that, madam. If you can continue.
So I wish that those that we give the education to will be doers of the message. In this sense, we are expecting, I think, 100% results. I would have wished that the fires we get should not be man-made, but should be of natural means. So I would plead with everyone listening to us that once the education comes, it is for our good. Please let us hold on to it. Let us take it. Let us go home and practice it. Let us share it with our family. In this sense, we can go far as a nation and as a community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. Sir, so the public relations department is a very formidable force when it comes to dissemination of some of these very important messages to these people. Moving forward, what do you think the public relations department will do in helping, to minimize the occurrence of such incidents in an area like that?
Right, thank you very much. In such communities, one way of driving home your message is to get community members in the forefront. And so going forward, we are going to collaborate with the regional command and contact the leaders in the community and make them part of the educational team. So once they see their own to be part of the educational team, it will encourage them to imbibe whatever you are teaching them. And therefore, it will cause an attitudinal change. Once an attitudinal change is caused, then automatically change comes in. And therefore, the way by which they do their things will change, leading to adopting new styles and ways of living that may not result in the occurrence of fires in such areas. And so, on our part, we will liaise with the regional command, come out with tailored education for such a community, and then get their leaders involved. And I think that will do the magic.
Thank you very much, sir. So remember, viewers, we are still tuned in to Fire Service in Focus here on the Fire Service TV, and we are honored to have our regional commander, ACF 1, Roberta Ganson Agri, with us, and then we are honored to have my own boss, ACF 1, Timothy Esafwefun, Director of Public Relations, here with us as we delve into fires that have been very prominent in the past week. On 11th, on Thursday, there was another major fire at Medina Market, just opposite the police station, and not too far from the Las Palmas restaurant. The fire was quite serious, and it's something that would delve into, especially since it's a market fire. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we are going to dissect this issue and then find ways in which to prevent future occurrences.
Hey, Swagger, what's up?
How far with your internship?
To be honest, I'm so nervous about starting this new role on Monday.
Oh, please. I know you'll be great at it. You should be worried about what benefits they have. Example, do they have health insurance?
I doubt they will have that for internet. But no shaking. I have NHIS already.
After you son a line, tin.
Ina, look at you. What are you going to do in the office when you can just download the app to register for an NHIS membership?
Yes, my people, you heard right. You can now download and register your membership on my NHIS app. No long queues or tedious paperwork. All you need is your Ghana card to register for yourself and for others. Once you register, you get a new digital NHIS card on your phone. My NHIS app gives you access to credentialed health facilities and services across the country. NHIS covers over 95% of disease conditions in Ghana. Access to healthcare just got easier.
Now let me sign up quickly. Please, Steph, I'm starting work next month.
Hi, welcome back. You are still on. You're still tuned into Fire Service TV, and the program is Fire Service in Focus. As I said, I am surrounded by two huge giants in Fire Service: the Director, Public Relations, my own boss, and then the Accra Regional Commander for the Ghana National Fire Service. We'll read some of your messages on Facebook, and we will encourage everyone to please send in your messages, call in, and then let's have a very interactive program. Amoransa Philip Allen, he said, I salute you, my boss. I'm sure that's the Director of Public Relations. So you have someone saluting you. Madam, your own is also there. Young God, he said, great job, madam. So that's to madam. And some young guy again said, I think the government has to bring community fire service. So I think that's one thing that madam will be looking at with her municipal and districts at that level. And again, Kumangtum Charity, please, sorry if I butchered your name. And she said, great job. Thank you very much. So before we went on the break, we were talking about the fire that happened at Medina Market on Thursday, and the fact that it was a very worrying fire. The fire, which started around 9 p.m. on that day, was finally extinguished the next day at 5:27 a.m. That's about 10 hours of firefighting, and so it deserves being looked at. And so I'll go to madam and I'll ask, madam, are we seeing the re-emergence of market fires?
I think, just like my colleague said, it all has to do with attitudinal change. When you look at the construction of the market, you'd realize that everything has well been taken care of. A lot has to do with us as individuals and users of the place. Someone would want a wiring to be done in his market. There is an electrical fault and someone has to work on it. Who are the people we bring on board? Are we bringing the right people? That is a question we all have to ask and answer. Because I had an opportunity to do an electrical assessment for some of the markets. And you'd realize that sometimes the cables that I use are not even. An undersized cable and maybe an oversized cable, and they would have to join this cable to feed electrical fitting. But what are we likely to see when we have this uneven cables? It is either overheating, excess heating, especially using a 1.5 cable for a socket. Is it the right cable size for the socket? And sad enough, this cable is connected to a socket that is feeding a deep freezer. Looking at the chest freezer, the size of the chest freezer, it's uncalled for. But it has to do with the individual changing that behavior. Why? Because sometimes it's about the cost, how much he's going to charge. So he knows this boy who lives by his house, so he thinks that when he falls on that person, he's able to help him. But we ask ourselves, has he passed his training? Has he been given the license to work on such facilities? That is the problem we are facing as a country now. Some are even using faulty plugs. You put the plug in the socket is making noise. That tells you that there is a fault in the system. Are we mindful in changing those sockets? No, we are just looking at the monies we are to accrue, and it is also uncalled for. The structure is there. It's a fixed asset. Nothing can be added to it. But what is inside to create these situations, unwanted situations for us? Are we looking at it? Sometimes the space that we are to occupy is so small that you have items even packed closer to electrical cables, electrical fittings. These cables, they also need oxygen. So if we have all these things packed on the cables, then we are denying these cables from breathing. And when that happens, what we see is that the insulators on these cables get dry quickly and they become exposed and help in burning. When you look at the construction of the market, for instance, in designing these markets, they factored access routes, which more or less serves as a fire break for the markets. But you go into the markets and you find people putting wooden structures. Some have even constructed canopies, which is even extended from their shop to maybe the opposite shop. And all these will support the burnings in the market. And these ones are behaviors and habits of human beings. So I would say no, we are not entering the era. We would only enter the era if people are not adhering to these messages or are not being observant in these areas. But if we can all do our best within the shops, in the markets that we are selling, then I believe we would move away from these market fires. Then I think I would have a plea to make to the authorities. We are talking about loading the stores that they have, which are contributing to burning. If the authorities in building markets can consider putting up maybe a warehouse, so that with that small space provided them, they can just display the products that they have, and majority of their product will be stored in the warehouses. so that they will come for them as and when they need or they have a larger stock there, just to help reduce the occupancy loads in their stores. Then the warehouse can be manned by the right people, taking into consideration the right height of a warehouse, providing of honeycombs, being mindful of access routes, both manual and the aisles. Once these things are put in place, then we are also helping to change certain attitude, so that we will not be seen as entering the era of market fires. I think as a nation we have come far. Our population is now on the increase. So looking at our population now, and even with the population of people who would want to sell in the market, I think it will be ideal for us to look out for other strategies to help solve these problems. And I think one of the major strategies...
We have a call on the line, so sorry about that. Hello, caller.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. What's your name and where are you speaking from, please?
My name is Kwabran Kontabisa. I'm calling from Kaswa.
Okay. You have our attention, sir.
Yes, I have observed with great concern because a lot of the fire service engines, have grown very, very old, and I wonder why the government is not resourcing the fire service. The appliances are not being bought for the fire service to help them work effectively, because sometimes I observed one thing a certain day. They were on their way to the fire ground, and all of a sudden the car just broke down, and the people there nearly pounced on them. So I don't know why the government is not resourcing the service for effective operation.
Thank you very much. That's a very legitimate concern, and we are fortunate to have the Director of Public Relations here himself, so he would address it squarely. Sir, would you want to address it before we go on, sir?
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Kontabisa, for your concern. It is also our concern and the concern of government as well. Fortunately for us, the good news is that government has given us some resources for new appliances. However, it's not because government has given us approval then we are going to see the fire tenders tomorrow. Fire tenders are to be ordered with specifications. As I speak with you, what government has given us is going through what we call value for money audit. And once that is done, then we'll be able to order with our specifications. And so, even if we should order tomorrow, it is going to take at least 3 to 4 months before the first consignments can come in.
Sorry, there's another caller on the line.
Sure.
Hello, caller. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello, caller. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you too.
Please, your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, my name is Kingsley. I'm calling from Aga.
Okay. You have our attention, sir.
Yeah. Bacho Mamingachi.
Feel free.
Sir,
Feel free.
More fire safety awana. Muni tender. Muni car. Ana mo fire service for no ba. Dressing kwa no mo dressing. No mo de namanya sexual bata egasia no mo de extinguisher. Any taxi aba. Anaya, baby, she another extinguisher, any taxi aba.
But I'm correct you. Cars you appliance.
But who tell me?
Meet you.
Aha. Me say, muko dum ja mu fe so nko. Eya. Iso ta mu so na mu fe so nko. Ani tira na say mu ko fire. Aya go for to bo mu no. Enu de edim say nye, but aya mu so mu fe so nko. Enye to me to bo mu de bia o. Bye me da say.
That's why na anya car isi honum. Yeah, utimi call no more. Ombebie ka no. Ombebie insuo na mo hu se ampa. Insuo honum ma de waka no so no. Ye da say so afre. Why? Say back to you.
Right. So let me quickly address this one. It is never true that we attend incidents without water. Every fire tender attend an incident with fully loaded water. What sometimes happens is that we have varieties of fire tenders. Some have bigger capacity, some have smaller capacity. And so if you have a smaller capacity tender, which has about, let's say, 250 gallons of water, and you go and couple about 10 lengths of hoses, each length of hose contains 20 gallons when fully charged. And so before the water can flow, all the 10 hoses must charge. That is, they must contain that 20 gallons of water before you can get some expelling out. And so if you have a tender that has 250 gallons, already the hoses have taken 200 gallons. So how many gallons are you left for firefighting? It's only 50 gallons. And that one will take you roughly 1 minute for the water to be expelled. And when it happens that way, people think that we attended the incident without water. You see, I've always been saying that until we do things right in Ghana, people will continue to blame the fire service. Because we are we are the end users of the services that our stakeholders provide. For example, we need water for firefighting. If we go to areas that we don't have fire hydrants, how do we get water to fight the fires? And in recent times, our major stakeholder, the Ghana Water, also have a challenge of producing water, adequate water for it to go around everybody. And so we get to areas, and even where we have the fire hydrants, you don't have water flowing. And so until we learn to put our priorities right by resourcing some of these major stakeholders, for them also to be up to provide us with what we need, then people will continue to blame us. But please, the blame shouldn't be put at our doorsteps. If we have water, we'll use the water for the purpose for which it is intended for.
Thank you
Let
very
me
much.
add a little to what my colleague has just said. When you look at the legislations fire services working with, LI 1724 and the 2249, it mandates us to have water on our premises. You are supposed to have a poly tank to store water, and the water is both for domestic use and for firefighting, which implies that when we come and there is shortage of water, we can fall on the water in your poly tank to do what is expected of us. So we all have a role to play. So those who are not mindful of this, I am pleading and I am hammering it. Please let us go to fulfill these legislations, because it helps us as a service and it helps you as an individual. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. So we have some interesting questions, 2 questions actually from one person. We are Yuka Jamaldeen, and it's I'll do Chimpe. The question, I'll give one to each of you. There's a call on the line. Let's take the call and then we'll come back to the messages. Hello, caller. Good afternoon. Hello, caller. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. You're welcome to Fire Service TV. Your name and where you're calling from.
Please, my name is Kofi Solomon.
Yes, sir.
But I mean, get people.
But you're feeling free, feeling free. But you're how they say what that room?
But me prep in Medina.
Yes, sir.
But me comment about fire now last Wednesday AC or Medina no Medina market.
Yes.
Me observing never kakra dia when this na hammer but I know say as I say I buying so every resources in the Ghana National Fire Service. But me say me bisa but Ghana National Fire Service, the whole Ghana National Fire Service, the same because of more TL na car a cost row edumuja in terms of story buildings near other stuff, you know. A do ho and a be new ho. And a secondary, ya me experience the view of honoma mania so na bijina babia eya for ejina na omo other stuff against the firemen. I was standing there, almost splitting a lot of passion.
Hello. Okay. Bacho, utimi frebi wa ebe na de waka no so no genuine concern na waka no beba me madam in just 2 minutes me mana bosso because we have a very important message also on Facebook, so in 1 minute if madam can answer his question about the TL and then we would quickly take the message from Jamaldeen.
Yes, we have a TL. We have the hydraulic platform. The TL can take us to 6 floors. Then we have the hydraulic platform that can take us to the 20th floor. But the fire we saw has to do with just a ladder, and that was what we used. Initially, we thought the stairway can take us there, but with, just like I was saying, people putting tables and others on their corridors, and also constructing burglar proofs and others, that actually became an obstruction. So we had no choice than now going to the top of the building, and because the fire had consumed the roof, we were able to use the roof in.
So sorry about that. Hello, caller. Good afternoon. Hello, caller. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Thanks for joining us. Your name and where you're calling from, sir?
I'm calling from Kumasi.
Yes, sir.
Region.
And what's your name, sir?
My name is Abdul.
Yes, sir. Mr. Abdul, you have our attention, sir.
I have a concern.
Yes, sir.
Of which they are against most of we the civilians. We do attack because I will not take myself out. We do attack a man at the fire incident on fire grounds, which is very bad. But my concern is, I would have pleaded with fire service if only they can maybe speak to their leaders so that there will be a memo for all the fire stations within the nation. Now, when they go to a fire station, my understanding is like the PR, they are doing a very good job. But it's like they are educating people on the prevention of fires. But they are not educating people on why most of the time there are delays on firemen not reaching to fire ground earlier. Because, for instance, when you call the 192, I understand it's a national security number. It goes to national headquarters. Of which, when you call that number, for instance, I'm in Kumasi, I called 192. There's a fire incident at my area, Sawasi. I learned that when I call that number, they have to call Kumasi headquarters and inform them there's a fire at Sawasi. And Kumasi headquarters will look at the nearby station and dispatch that station. The issue is, the call that I made to Accra, it has taken some time. Accra calling Kumasi will also take another time. Kumasi calling the station nearby also takes another time. So by the time they will dispatch a car or your tenders to that place, it's taking time. Maybe they call that metro a car, they to call Kumasi, we can take like 10 minutes. The dispatching can also take like a minute or 2 or 3. So by the time they get to Asawasi, there might be traffic. There might be a lot of things that will prevent the firemen from getting to the incident scene. So what I'm saying is, the education is always on prevention of fires. But the education is not only on the reasons why firemen or fire personnel are always getting to the ground level. Of which I have seen it to be like, that is why a lot of time we civilians do attack firemen. But what I'm saying is, someone educated me, one of the fire officers educated me on this. Now I don't go to a fire team and I see a fire officer, then I try to ask that person. I also try to educate my fellow ordinary citizens or my fellow colleagues at, you see why they came late? It's as a result of this, and that. So it's a plea that I'm making, that maybe if management, your heads can write some letters so that in case there's a fire, they go to the fire scene. They should use 2 minutes or 3 minutes of their time to educate people on why most of the time they are late.
Thank you very much. And you have a very good in-depth understanding of and appreciate the reason why we are late sometimes. This is actually a very burden topic that we are hoping to discuss in our subsequent edition. So we are almost out of time, but I promise you our next or subsequent episodes will delve into this topic extensively. No. Thank you very much. So another caller on the line. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate. Hello, caller. Good afternoon, sir. Oh, good afternoon, caller.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for joining us, sir. Your name and where you're calling from, sir. Okay, so we are out of time. I'll quickly take the okay, so let's take some of the topics, the messages we have here. Jamal Dean says, is GNFS considering anything like one shop, one fire extinguisher, as well as vehicles having fire extinguisher policy? If so, how are they going to enforce this policy? And so let me ask the second question, and you decide which one you go with. So listening to you speak about the market fires, how is GNFS going to handle the situation of market segregation to make sure that access routes are not blocked when there is the need to use these routes? Another caller on the line. Hi, caller. Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello, caller. Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Okay, so then there's Ura Mike. The panelists are doing great. It's good to call for attitudinal change. However, the fire service must start prosecuting non-adherence to fire safety protocols as stated in the LI 1724 and other related regulations. Thank you very much, Ura. It's well noted. Say, madam, the Kamaldins.
Well, all the two has to do with attitudinal change. Because even within the market, during your course of selling, ask yourself, the access route that has been created, when you put the tables in, and you are to even see a lizard, and you thought it was a snake, and you are running away, because you have created an obstruction within the market, you are likely to fall to hurt yourself. But don't forget that the objects you have also put on the access routes, most of the times are things that can burn. So they also help in the spread of the fire. I cannot come to the market and be removing these tables. You are there. That is where you earn your living. So it behoves on you to ensure that even when I'm passing, I have a safe path to go. Should there be something, I should help to prevent it from spreading. When it comes to extinguishers, one shop, one extinguisher, fine, it is good. But do we try to do an assessment for ourselves? I think as individuals, we should try to do risk assessment for ourselves. when we do assessment for ourselves as individuals, we would know that most of the things in our room contribute to chain of fires. Because if you're able to reduce your occupancy load in your assessment, then you are likely to have the space that is going to create a method of starvation for you, so that should the fire service even experience maybe hectic traffic in getting there, because you have put in place some strategies for yourself by reducing your occupancy load, by ensuring that there are spaces in your parking, that alone retards the spread of fires. It slows down the process of fire spread. And by the time the fire service arrive, you will still witness that not much things have been destroyed. We have a role to play. You also have a role to play as an individual. But I think your role will go a long way to help the Ghana National Fire Service, Mother Ghana, and your properties as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. Sir, it's a question about considering the market fires and how we are going to handle the situation of segregation and access routes. What can you add to that, sir?
Right. When it comes to issues of market, the assemblies play a very crucial and critical role. The markets are for the assemblies, and therefore we expect a collaboration between the two institutions and others that may come in to ensure that proper realignment of the markets are done, so that if those selling gari are placed at one end, those selling materials are at another end, those selling oil at another end, so that it even helps us as firefighters when there are incidents of such nature, so that if the fire has occurred at an area that they sell oil, you know what type of extinguishing media you are supposed to use. But if we have mixed cargo like we have in the markets as of today, when you go, you don't even know which of the extinguishing media to apply, because there is oil here, there is material here, and there is gari there. So which of the extinguishing media do you use? It becomes very difficult, and that is why sometimes the extinguishment prolongs, because what is good for one item on fire may be also bad for the other item. And so we expect a collaboration between us and the assembly to ensure that we do proper planning for the markets. Now, going forward, I will have wished that we do reconstruction of all our markets to ensure that we have a model like the Kaneshie market. When was the last time you had a fire at Kaneshie market? Not that there are no fires, they occur, but because of how the market was structured, the fires are unable to spread to other places, and that is what we are looking forward to.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Another message from my own mates, a very good friend, Mary Enyonam Kwabi, ADO1 with Legon Fire Station. She has this to say that with this, we need to let the public understand the need to know the nearest fire stations in their area and get their direct numbers. This would help deal with the delays. I'm sure unanimously we all agree with this, or do you have anything to add up to this?
I think it's in order.
So what I also say is sometimes the delays are not from the transfer of call from one point to another. The delays are as a result of the wide spacing of our fire stations. We don't have enough and adequate fire stations spread across. So for instance, if a whole district has just one fire station and one fire tender, and they have to travel like maybe 45 kilometers away, how long do you think it will take? It also depends on the nature of the road. And so that is why I'm saying that if we put our priorities right, we will see a very effective fire service. Because it is not the responsibility of the fire service to construct roads. It's not the responsibility of the fire service to provide water. It is not the responsibility of the fire service to do planning. There are agencies in charge of all these sectors. And therefore, if as a nation we are able to put our priorities right and resource all of these agencies, then we'll see a very effective fire fighting institution.
But what I would add is that let's consider ourselves to be parents who are a parent that has so much children. You'd realize that your financial support is not as expected. But then, like my colleague is saying, we have not gotten there yet. Let us, as much as possible, try to reduce the fire loads in our homes. It is so much important. And when we get there, then we can buy everything into our homes. Because sometimes you wonder, somebody before he married was living in one house, he alone, so his luggage is for one person. He marries, a wife comes to add, it is the same single room. Now they have 2-3 children, it is the same single room. You get to that room and you realize you don't even have the space for yourself. So if he's adding on, it is the outside. They are all full. So the fire that could have been saved now is not saved because of the load you have in that room and your surrounding. And you realize that you think fire service is delaying, but you don't know that your load is rather influencing the fire to travel very fast. And that is why I said we all have a role to play. The state has a role to play. As an individual, you also have a role to play in your room and within your surroundings. So even as the state is doing its best, let us also do our best in our homes. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Another message from one of our ardent followers on the Ghana National Fire Service Facebook page, Pascal. Fire Service in Focus program seeks to give more insight to the citizenry, so more time should be allocated for it. Well, it's a good call, and as you can see, our producer Bless has been gracious enough to give us some small time in addition, so it's something we'll be looking at in the future. I'll take our last words from our two giants, and then we'll be back again next week to give you a more mind-blowing insights. Madam, ladies first again.
Thank you. But let me remind you, there is no woman in the army. So just like we are seated here, he says ACFO 1, I'm ACFO 1. There is no ACFO male, ACFO female. So we are on a level football field to play. I will not take anything more in adding. I'll still play it with our citizenry. We go to the market, we buy everything, we bring home. We don't bother to know the size of the rooms we live in or the space we are occupying. So ours is always buying, and that creates the fire chain in our homes, and that influences the spread of fire. Let us cultivate the habit to be mindful to mind the rooms we occupy, the size of the houses we live in, to influence our decision in buying, especially females. We like buying so much. Let us learn to invest our monies. Let us learn to have the interest in the upbringing of our children, especially in the area of education. If we are taking these challenges up, we wouldn't have access to be buying. Let us stop the so much buying to create these isolations in our homes, to create starvations for fire. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, Mike Kwesi, before you say you come in, I couldn't have agreed with the director PR more on the call for the country to prioritize public safety. Sir, you have the floor for your last words.
Thank you. What I have to add in conclusion is that, look, the firefighter is trained to support you when you are in danger. And so it is our responsibility to come to our aid whenever you are faced with fire or related incidents. It does not lie in your mouth to attack the fire service or firefighters that they have arrived late or they have arrived early. You see, it is not even in our interest if fires occur. Our first priority is to ensure that we educate you so that you prevent the fires to occur in the first instance. So no firefighter would deliberately delay so that your items or your property will burn. No, it is not in our interest to do that, because we are paid by your taxes to ensure that we protect you, and we are going to do that to the best of our abilities. But because the distances from the fire station to where the incidents occurred are a bit wide, and so it may take us time. When we get there, you should rather encourage the firefighters to quickly extinguish the fire for you and not to attack them. If you attack them, will the fire go off? If you attack them and they return to base, you are going to lose every property of yours. And so it is for you to support our firefighters when they arrive. And then you encourage your assemblies to give us more fire stations that are closer to your locations. When these fire stations are provided, we will just send in men and equipment to come and protect you. And that is what we expect from you. The least we will expect from you is that the person who is come to support you, you are rather attacking the person. For what reason? And mind you, if you attack any firefighter and we get you, the law courts will deal with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You see, Penny Jairia na insio asa. I would want to add, even though saying insio asa no, I would want to add that it's very heartwarming to see people offer water, bottles or sachet water to officers when they are fighting fire. That's the way that's the way to go. Please support them. When you see them, ask them if they want some water. We don't charge when we fight fires, but we are humans, and a little kind gesture of giving them a bottle of water goes a long way to boost their morale in putting their lives on the line. Thank you very much, ACFOS, Madam Roberta Griganson, our own Madam, the regional commander for our landlord, and then my own boss, Director of Public Relations, ACFO Timothy Osafu Ifun, for making time to enlighten us more. Today we've gone a bit over, and I think it's worth every minute we've spent. Thank you also for joining us, for your calls, your messages. We don't take it for granted, and we're hoping that we'll see much more of that in our subsequent editions. Please make a date with us same time tomorrow on Fire Service TV, and be glued to all our other exciting programs on the Fire Service TV. My name is Edio One Alex Kengnati, and this has been Fire Service in Focus. Have a good day.
Hello, please, good morning. Is it a fire service station? Yes, please. How may I help you? No, now I go shower. I want to Hey, it's a fire campaign going on, cause too much fire outbreaks in our town. Brother, sister, if you wanna live so long, open up your ears and listen as we preach on. And son of fire service, bedi aboyeno. Ejemin kabuniwara. Acha siamo nofo, tuweni yojo banko chofo bebe sewara. Benye kaya tema habo, Good Friday, Benia de Sancho Akela. Tama Newtown Circle, Lord, I ain't quit the Cleminaka de Sangana. Kumasi Central Market, Atomic Junction, Wajan Nankoni, Mutani, Namutua. Tema Central Medical Sociakoni, Wanga Yazampo Yabakoa. Ashimanya Wamagadanu, Shiama, Namidanu, Shiama, Ashiama, Jolaka. Illegal connection taking place in our homes is a major factor of fire outbreak. Prolonged using of appliance is a major factor of fire outbreak. So it's a fire service. Oja, oja. Charging of phones and other gadgets overnight. Oja, oja. Improper disposal of cigarettes after smoking. Oja, oja. Putting candles and calls on the wooden table. Oja, oja. Fire engines no yati yasie Yenga wai wala he Ya mama yuko nde jumapa muye For protecting our properties Fire service for nyina ya damasi Click take word Fire service mabo modimba Se baby shina ya frema munya ya aza
hold up, show, hold up, catch 'em, hold up, hold up.